On today's Transport Evolved, the most efficient car on sale today, why two factories are better than one, and anal itching from a Tesla Model S. These stories and more coming up next on Transport Evolved. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode number 198 of Transport Evolved, recorded on Friday, May 2nd, 2014. My name is Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield.
And I'm Mark Chatterley. How are you today, Nikki?
I'm very well, thank you, Mark. How are you?
Good. I'm incredibly glad. I finished my freelance work 5 minutes before you went, quick, we need to set up. So it was very well timed, if you ask me.
This is why we need a rich investor, so you don't have to have two jobs.
Yes. Technically 3 jobs.
No, this isn't a job because I don't pay you.
Of course, yes. Yeah, that's what I keep forgetting.
So, have you had a good week today? I thought you did a really, really good TEN today. I hope everyone's had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, and we got it up earlier because we didn't rely on my internet connection to upload it, which takes 6 hours. I managed to give it to you, and you shuttled off down to your house and uploaded it there.
Yeah, we did it via EVNet. You've heard of SneakerNet. This is EVNet. A gentleman who is joining us today on the show for the first section is someone I'm sure is no stranger to the concept of both SneakerNet and EVNet. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Louis Palmer. The man who went round the world in a solar-powered taxi. I think that's probably the only way that we can introduce him. Started off as a teacher. Well, not as a kid, obviously. Worked as a teacher, Louis, and then you got into EVs and you drove around the world in a solar-powered car. And since then, every year you've organised expeditions, and you're the guy behind WAVE, the World Advanced Vehicle Expedition. Now in its third year?
Fourth year.
Yes. And you are driving along with loads of other people this year from Stuttgart, all the way around through Germany, through the Swiss Alps. And where do we end up?
We are ending up here in Lucerne, where I live, on the Mount Rigi in central Switzerland.
Fantastic. And there's something very special about the mountain, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a wonderful place to go. Yeah. And that's really a good adventure to do it with an EV.
Yeah, so we, as we've mentioned a couple of weeks back, we are one of the official media partners of the WAVE Trophy this year. So I'm in the process of planning a really long trip from Bristol all the way to Stuttgart in Germany in my Nissan Leaf, along with my good friend and photographer Adam Walker. But Louis, your planning compared to mine is... I mean, my planning looks like a full stop on the end of a sentence compared to what you guys are doing. So tell us about the WAVE, tell us about the ethos of the WAVE, and how people can get involved at this late stage.
Yeah, basically I'm right now in the final stage of planning the WAVE, the world's largest electric vehicle rally. We can also say it's the world's largest rolling electric vehicle event. And we are starting in exactly 4 weeks from now on the 31st of May in Stuttgart. And 77 vehicles have signed up so far. One of them is your team, Nikki.
Yep.
And we're all going to drive 1,600 kilometers across Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And I'm right now preparing stops and charging places for these cars in 45 cities in 3 countries. And that's quite an adventure. I think for me, the big adventure has already started a long time ago.
So how did you get into electric cars, Louis? What's your story?
My story is, that's a childhood dream of mine. When I was 11, in 1982, here in Switzerland, I went to school. We had a great teacher, and he was telling us, hey, guys, in the future, if you're going to use a car and you still use petrol, you're going to be part of a problem.
Wow.
And he inspired us very much. And he said, hey, in the future, we're going to have wars because of petrol. In the future, we're going to have global warming. We are going to see the end of petrol. And I just thought, well, I don't want to be part of a problem. I want to be part of the solution. So I'm going to have a solar car when I will be grown up.
Yep.
And I was always dreaming of making a world tour. And I thought, hey, I really want to see the beauty of this world, and without polluting it. And then I thought that would be great to do it with a solar car. And but I was sure, when I was a kid in the 80s, in the 90s, I was so sure when I will be grown up, I can buy such a car. I just go to the dealership and I buy a solar car, an electric car. But that was not the case for a long time. And so I decided to do it myself. And in 2003, I took that decision and built one car for myself, the so-called solar taxi. And you mentioned that, and I drove it around the world then in 1.5 years across 38 countries, 55,000 kilometers. That was a hell of a trip.
And you met some really good friends, and I think probably friends is the way to describe them, that you are still in contact with, you still talk with regularly, and talking to people who've made these kind of trips. It is life-changing, and it does prove to you that what people might think of as impossible is in fact possible, and it ties in really nicely with the concept of the wave in general. And one of the things that people have said to us since we announced we were taking part in it is, why are you taking part in a road trip that highlights the weakest thing about electric vehicles? The fact that they generally don't go very far without needing to stop and recharge. And I've said, yeah, but it's not just about making a really long trip in electric vehicles. It's about so much more, isn't it?
Absolutely. If we wanted to highlight that we can drive far, we could have made in 1 week, we could easily do, I don't know, thousands of kilometers. But that's not what we want to highlight. We basically want to have fun. We want to go to schools. We want to show people that these cars exist. You can buy them. And it's not going to stop us using these cars just because the range is maybe not as much as it is for an ordinary car. After 100 kilometers, even if you drive an old-timer or an ordinary car, you get tired, you want to stop. So we do a sightseeing tour. We stop everywhere, and the range is not even an issue for us.
No, and you've got some really interesting vehicles taking part this year. It's not just because a lot of people said to me, "Oh, does that mean it's just a load of rich people in Tesla Roadsters driving around Switzerland?" Mark, you did it last year. You did the end of it last year, didn't you?
Yeah. So I flew out to Switzerland and was there for the last 3 days of the wave, and then I travelled back across Europe. And yeah, it wasn't just Tesla drivers. There were obviously Tesla drivers there as well, but there were people there in trikes, which were our sort of pedal powered electric hybrid car type things. There were some homemade cars, and in fact the homebrew stuff is what really interested me, and it showed me that there's a compromise that comes with big manufacturing. If you have the money in your bank account and you want to buy a £24,000 electric car, you'd actually get a car that was better suited to you and better in pretty much every way than if you made it yourself or if you bought it custom made. And that really fascinated me, seeing these massive. There was this amazing camper van which could have solar panels mounted on the roof, and it had a range larger than pretty much any other car there. It didn't have a great top speed, but that's not what it was for. It was a camper van designed for a family tour. And then there was this kind of Nissan micro-sized car, I can't exactly remember what it was, which had, again, an amazing range and an amazing 0 to 60 time, because that's what the person who built it wanted. And I suppose it showed me that you don't just have to wait for a manufacturer to come along and give you something. If you really want it, you could go out there and make it yourself.
And it is lovely. It is absolutely lovely. Now, Louis, we've got a huge number of people taking part this year, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell everybody? Should we run through the teams as they stand at the moment?
Yes.
Let's give them a mention. So I'm going to turn to my computer, and you can talk through the teams, and I'll gently scroll down the page, and we'll make sure that everyone gets a mention.
Okay. Should I go on the page
Yes.
too?
Also off you.
Okay.
Yeah. So off you.
Okay.
When you're ready, tell me, and we'll go through the teams. So we'll
All
start.
right.
We'll start with our special teams that you've mentioned this year. Now, the special teams, those are the people who either won in previous years, or they're the people who are coming back again and again and again. We've got some legends.
Yeah.
Any event that happens, multiple times, you start to get some celebrities, don't you? And some well-known faces. So let's start with the top of the list and work our way down.
Yes, the first three teams, they got start number 1, 2, and 3. Those are very special people. Special teams, team number 1, Phoenix Contact, German company. They have won last year's wave. Famous Frank and Frank drove. Those drivers are coming back with a Volkswagen Golf this year with an e-Golf. Second is Manfred and Tamara, Austrian couple with a Tesla Model A, Tesla Roadster. They have won the wave 2 years ago. And then number 3 is Gordon Fout and Leora Rosner from UK and Holland. This year they are participating the 4th time already, so they are the only team that is really in the wave since 4 years now.
They've been the veteran. They're the veteran team.
Yeah, absolutely. And this year Gordon has built a quad. I don't even know how to call that thing. It's a buggy.
Yes,
and
I've seen it. It's a bit like a to describe it for the Americans, it looks a bit like a cross between a beach buggy and a hunting vehicle. Is probably the best way I'd describe it.
Yeah, absolutely, something like that. And so it's great. I mean, this is the homemade stuff that really adds to the spirit of the wave. This is the things that I love. It's great having such people like Gordon and all those people with their homemade stuff here in the wave. It's just fun.
And we've got some what you're calling old timer conversions. The first of which is one that really, really excites me because it's a Land Rover, and I want to make an electric Land Rover. And this is I think it's a Series 2 Land Rover.
It's, I think, from 1953 or 63, either of both. It's Jörg from Zurich, from Switzerland. He has 160 kilometers of range. He built it himself. He's a Land Rover.
Wow.
Electric.
And then we have some Volkswagens and a Porsche.
Yep. Exactly. Then we have 2 Dutch cars, a Volkswagen Beetle and a Volkswagen Bus, a van, old cars from Holland, and then we have an old Porsche Classic from Germany. And then we have 5 Tesla Model S.
Wow. 5.
Yeah.
And every time I look, there seems to be another one.
Yes. And so far, I think it's finished. There's no more Tesla Model S coming. 3 of them are red. 1 is black. 1 is white.
So I have the question, Louis. Do they have to do all the cooking for everybody else?
Why?
Because they don't need to stop to charge.
I have to ask them. Let's see, but that's a good idea. I have to involve them more because otherwise they'll be bored.
And now we're on to the converted cars, not the classic cars, but we're on to the cars which are which have been you wouldn't notice are electric.
Yeah,
they're modern converted cars. So let's talk through those.
3 good friends of mine have done a great job. Hubert has in Austria, he's converted an Audi A2. Then my friend Gero in Cologne, in Germany, he has made an Audi A8, a big one he has converted. And then my friends Andrej and Jasna from Slovenia, they have converted a Mazda sports car.
That's a stunning car. I got to ride in the back of that one when I was there last year, and it's amazing.
Now, is that an R8? It looks like an R8 from that angle.
I think it is.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And from what I understand, it uses a slightly different battery chemistry, a slightly unique battery chemistry as well, compared to a lot of the other entrants last year, at least. It was a fascinating car, stunning car, and I want one. That was my position on it.
All right, now we're on to a team from India.
Absolutely. These are 2 people from India. They contacted me if I could help them. They needed a car. They want to participate in the wave. Even in India, people know about the wave. Now, I called up my friend Fabian, who runs Evolve company, a company in Cologne, and I asked him if he could borrow his van, a Nissan van, a converted car, to the Indian team, and they have just agreed. And now the Indian team, Mukesh and Mahe, they're going to drive this car from Evolve, from Cologne.
Fantastic. And then now that's not a Fiat 500e, is it? It's just a converted Fiat 500 next on the list.
It's yes, absolutely. It's from Norman. He has bought it from a conversion company in Hamburg. It's a German car, so it's not from Fiat itself.
And it's
It's
wonderful to hear because in the UK there's such a negative opinion towards converted cars, but here are converted cars taking part in the wave.
oh yeah, yeah. I had so many converted cars. None of them ever had any breakdown or any problem at all. But these people who are doing the conversions, they really know what they're doing.
Yes, yes.
And
So on
mhm,
to our sports car section. So we've got different sections, haven't we, of the wave?
absolutely. Now the next one chapter one is missing. Actually, we have an orange Tesla Roadster from Austria, from Manfred, that we already mentioned. We have a blue one from Marcus in Switzerland, and now we also have a red one from Petra in Munich.
Cool. And then
So
we have
Austria,
a
Germany, everyone has a Tesla Roadster now.
yep. And then we have
And
a 911, which is very nice.
Porsche 911 from an Austrian car conversion company. Yeah,
Now, and
very nice car. 400 kilometers of range, imagine.
now, before we go on to the next section, I think because we've I mean I've been driving EVs for 6-7 years. You've been driving EVs for a long, long time, and I think it's very easy for us to forget that some people who are listening and watching to the show are new to electric vehicles. They've only just heard about them. They've maybe just purchased their first electric car, or they're considering buying their first electric car. To them, this is a new thing. But the next section reminds us that we've been here before. We've had electric cars made before by automakers, not in the volumes that we have today. And this is the next section devoted to those, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. We have Max. He's an enthusiast. He has an 18-year-old Renault Clio, and he's still using it with nickel cadmium batteries. He has a range of 80 kilometers, I think, and he has to charge in between sometimes.
Right.
He has to go to a bakery or to a car dealership and charge up a little bit, a half an hour here, half an hour there.
And these were made by the car companies. They weren't
Absolutely.
conversions. These are made from the beginning as electric vehicles.
Yes, we have a Renault Clio, a Citroën AX, and a Think.
Wonderful.
All of these cars are models which are older than 10 years old.
Fantastic. And then we're on to kind of what you've called the series models, the vehicles that you can buy today.
Exactly. Now, these are the vehicles which are being produced in masses. We have two Renault Zoe. One is for a German company, and one is for a British couple from London. And we even have a third one, which is not online, that will be driven by Technopark Lucerne. It's a company which is a company here from Lucerne, Switzerland. So we are going to have 3 Renault Zoes and 1 Renault Fluence.
Fantastic, because the Fluence is given a bit of a hard time, isn't it?
I love that car. The Fluence is great. I mean, we shouldn't forget the Fluence was the winning car last year. The Wave was won by a Fluence.
There you go. There you go. So people criticize the Fluence for not having fast charging capabilities, and for being the car that Better Place kind of helped bring about and then kind of killed. They're no longer made in Europe. They're made in South Korea, interestingly, with rapid charging capabilities, which is something that they're not made in Europe with. They weren't made in Europe with rapid charging. But there we are. And then we're on to a very large segment, which is Nissan Leafs.
Yes, we have 6 Nissan Leafs in the competition. Your Nissan Leaf is number 7. You're not competing. So we have 7 Nissan Leafs in the wave. And it seems like there's a lot of French enthusiasm for these Leafs, because out of those 6 Leafs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are from France.
And one from Germany and one with a French stroke German team.
Yes, but that team lives in France. They live in Toulouse, and it's Ralph Martin. He's originally a German guy, but they have a French license plate. So actually, I should maybe just call it French team.
And then we're on to some French-made cars, and Mitsubishi made as well.
This is the section with the iMeafs and iEons and the Peugeot partner. These cars are chargeable with CHAdeMO chargers. And here we have 4 participants, 1 from Germany, 1 from UK, 1 from France, and 1 from Slovakia.
I wonder if your Slovakian team member has a spare seat, because I know a gentleman from Slovakia, a former expat of New Zealand, who would love to come along.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he would, and he does radio and all sorts. We'll have to get Gav, if you're listening, we'll have to put you in touch with a Slovakian team member. And then on to Volkswagen, who are, until a couple of months ago, no one really even thought of Volkswagen as producing electric vehicles. I used to own a Volkswagen City-Stromer from the 1980s. Volkswagen's been producing very, very small, limited numbers of electric vehicles for a very long time, but it hasn't ever produced production vehicles. And now here we are with production Volkswagens in the next segment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's a big honor for us. Volkswagen company, they have decided to join with their own team. So we are going to have 2 e-Golfs in the wave. One will be driven by Phoenix Contact, the winner team of last year, and then one is a pure Volkswagen team.
Fantastic. And I think the E-Up, I shouldn't really say this, but I think the E-Up has a chance of winning it this year. If I was a betting woman, I would bet on the E-Up. Or possibly the i3, because those are the 2 cars I think that are the most efficient from an engineering point of view. And then
let's see. Yes,
then we go on. Talk about BMWs.
From Norway we have. Yeah, but then the E-Up, that's Rolf from Switzerland. He has borrowed an i3 from a dealership in Switzerland. Yes, he's the only one with an i3.
Can I just borrow this i3 for a week? Sure.
I'm just going to put a couple 1,000 miles on it. Yeah, it's fine.
And then one of the things you talk about, the World Advanced Vehicle Expedition, this really is a worldwide event because now the next team are from Singapore.
Exactly. It's the University of Singapore, and they compete with 2 vehicles. One is their own motorbike that they have built. We'll see it later. And this Mercedes is actually from a company in Munich. They borrowed this Mercedes, so this will be their support vehicle, we can say.
Fantastic. And all right, then on to another vehicle that I'm very partial to, because I'm fond of Volvo. I find their engineers very endearing. We've got a Volvo in the team, and this is a company vehicle as well. Absolutely,
it's a Brusa. Brusa is a world leader for the best electric motors, we can say. They are producing it's a Swiss-based company. This team has already competed last year in the wave. They're back again, and they're using a Volvo.
Excellent. And now on to, we've got Smart Car.
Yes, we have one team with the Smart, and that's the team from ADAC in Germany, and the University of Hildesheim. And as the first time ever that the Smart is competing in the wave. We'll see how it does.
Now, if people are listening and going, wow, you're going to a really long list, one of the things that's really important about the wave is that everybody gets some airtime. Everybody gets mentioned. Everybody is part of a big team. There's not one person who's more important than anybody else. So far, we've gone through the conversions and the production vehicles. But now we're going on to another segment, Louis, that people might not even know anything about, especially our US listeners. Do you want to explain the next segment?
The next segment is all the vehicles which are lighter than 900 kilograms. I believe, and we all believe, this is the mobility of the future. It doesn't make sense to have a vehicle which is 1 ton or 2 tons and just one person sitting in it driving to work. These are the smart cars, the really smart cars, in my opinion, which are light and efficient. And so we have created an own category for them.
Part of me wishes that I still had my City L, because I think that would be an hilarious vehicle to take on the wave. Yeah. Because I had a City L with well over 100 miles of range. That would have been brilliant. I could have done it. But we've got the Twike, which is the aforementioned 3-wheeled vehicle. Some of them are electric only, and some of them are human electric hybrids. Are these ones human electric hybrids, or are they purely electric?
They are human electric hybrids.
Right.
And one of them is being driven by Central Switzerland's television. They're coming with us, by the way, for 2 weeks. They're going to report every day after the news, 5-minute report about the wave for an audience of 250,000 people every evening are going to follow the wave here in Central Switzerland. So imagine that TV station is using a Twike. And they use it in everyday life here in Switzerland.
That's brilliant.
The TV station's car.
It's not one that they've borrowed. It's their actual vehicle.
It's their own.
Wow.
And it's actually not just their own, it's the boss's car.
Wow.
It's also the car of the big boss of the TV station. And he himself, he will drive the car during the whole wave.
That's awesome.
Mark, we'd never see that in the UK, would we?
A boss with a twike. No, it would be a much higher perceived value car, I imagine.
But the thing to remember is that twike it very much does embody the spirit of Switzerland, and it's was originally Swiss designed, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, it's one of the tricks about the twike. And I don't want to talk about this one car for a huge amount of time, but one of the things I've driven one, you don't have a steering wheel. There's no pedals in a traditional like you have in a traditional car. It has a tiller, and that's probably the best way of describing it. So you sit there and you steer it with your right hand, like a joystick, and there's buttons on it to make it go faster and go slower. If you have the version with pedals, you sit there and pedal, but it's very nice because the windscreen comes very low down, and so you can see everything. I mean, it's just the perfect vehicle for going around the Alps in because you can see everything. There's no dashboard to get in the way. And one of the other tricks it has is you can actually roll the doors up so that you can experience. It's like a convertible almost, isn't it, Louis?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
it's convertible.
Let's go on to the other vehicles in the segment.
Yes, the next one is a Smile. That's also a Swiss vehicle. It's a little quad four-wheeler, and we had one in the very first wave, and he did second. And let's see, this is a very good car. From 0 to 50 kilometers an hour in about 2 seconds or something. It goes like a rocket.
Wow. And then we have the Twizy. Yay.
Yep.
Little
one
Twizy.
Or even two Twizzies are going to join. And then we have a very interesting car. This is the City Sucks. It's a converted, how should I say? There is a company in Germany, they have converted the Smart Roadster into another car in a nicer design.
It's a kit car, yeah.
It's a kit car, and now there is another company who has converted that conversion into an electric car. So let's say it's double converted. And you know who's driving it? It's Doppelmayr. Doppelmayr is the world's biggest company for cable cars.
Wow.
They have built 14,000 cable cars all over in the world, and the Doppelmayr is planning to expand in cities. They want to show that in the cities, hey people, we don't only have trams and buses and bicycles, but also we could have cable cars. So that's why they're joining with an electric car to show that also cable cars are a great option, great possibility for our future mobility.
Brilliant. And then we're on to the aforementioned buggy from Green Motors.
Exactly.
And then we're on to the two-wheeled segment. So we've got we literally have everything. So, and this segment is made up of people who've made electric motorcycles or bought electric motorcycles, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but I can say almost all of them, really all of them, are people who are working on their motorbike. So they are changing their batteries themselves. They know how to fix their bike. They actually, no one of those teams have bought a motorbike just like that. All of them have converted it a little bit.
Yeah, I was looking at the guy with the Zero, his website, and he's added extra batteries and chargers and all sorts. And just a secret, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I was trying when we agreed that we were going to come and do the wave. We were talking about what we were going to take and how we were going to work, and I was going to try and ride the wave this year on motorbikes because myself and my photographer, we're both bikers at heart, and we both love riding. This year, unfortunately, we couldn't get 2 electric motorbikes to take part, but maybe in a future year, you never know, we'll be joining the bike teams as well. But these are fantastic. So we've got 6 motorcycles, and then we've got some scooters, haven't we?
We have 6 motorbikes, but the 2 without picture are going to be 3-wheel motorbikes and Swiss products. And then we also have the University of Singapore here, and we have a French guy with an what is it, Aguilera or something like that, Aguilera. I don't even know the brands of all these motorbikes, but very, very interesting things. And you if you watch at those motorbikes, you don't think that they will be electric.
No,
you don't see that.
The ones that look stunning are the Yohamas. The ones that kind of look, and this is probably a very horrible way to describe it, they almost look like shrimp, and they got kind of antennas at the front, and they're absolutely stunning to see in person.
Yeah, they're not on here yet, are they? They are.
Yeah, there's 3 pictures of them.
Oh, they're a bit further down. There you go.
Yeah, if you scroll
I
down,
skipped down.
there
There
you
you
see
go.
them.
There
Now,
you go.
they really look futuristic. They are really outstanding motorbikes and have a lot of success at company, and they're going to join with 4 of those bikes. They're going to be a big gang.
You have to convince them to let me have a ride, Louis. I'll bring my crash
No, I
helmet
don't have
and
to
then-
convince them. They will do that anyway. If
I'll
you
pack-
ask them, they will do that. You
I'll
don't
pack
need my help.
crash helmet.
Those are great guys.
I'll pack my crash helmet. We've also got some scooters and one person doing their trip. A guy from Switzerland on a bicycle, Louis.
Exactly. He is on an e-bike. Imagine he is building his own e-bikes. They are a little bit more pricey than other normal e-bikes, and he has a trailer. And in that trailer, he has a big battery. So with his e-bike, imagine, believe it or not, he has 200 kilometers of range.
200 kilometers. That is insane.
And he's going to pedal every day. And I talked to him before a lot. Are you sure? Are you going to be able to cycle up to 250 kilometers a day? And he said, no problem. He's used to that. So
Wow.
I really trust him, and I hope everything will go well.
Now, one of the things about the Wave, because we had a long talk about this, is that obviously I've got 2 plug-in vehicles. One's a plug-in hybrid and one's all electric. There is a rule, isn't there, in Wave? No petrol, no diesel,
Absolutely.
no fossil
Absolutely.
fuels.
If last year we had an Ampera, and it was forbidden for them to use petrol, so they did it all electric. And also the support vehicles that we have 10 support vehicles this year for the film crew, for the roadside assistance, for charging system infrastructure. They all must be electric. There's no exception.
And of that, we've got a nice selection. So we've got a Ford Focus electric. We've got a BMW i3. We've got Hero the Nissan Leaf, which is my car. We've got we've got 2 Renault Zoes in support team. We've got a Peugeot 105, which again was an original, I believe, electric made Peugeot, unless it's a converted one. I'm not sure about the provenance of that one.
It is an original one.
It's an original one. And then we've got a camper van, the T5, and then we've got your bus, which tell us about your bus, Louis.
This is an Iveco Daily. It's a 17-seater, 5.5-ton bus. I use it. We are doing a startup company together with my wife. We are going to transport tourists this summer from the city of Lucerne, where we live, into the Alps. And for that company, we're dreaming of doing that company since many years. And this last year, we just started, hey, let's do it. And we bought an Iveco from the German army, a diesel version. And friends of ours in Winterthur, they converted it. And they put 1 ton of battery underneath it.
Wow.
And a 210 horsepower Brusa motor. And now it goes like a Tesla. You won't believe it. It has an acceleration you can't imagine.
Please don't make Hiro Nakamura feel insignificant. So those are all the teams taking part, and it is a fantastic event. But there is also, we must not forget about the world record attempt, because recently, Louis, let's be honest. You set a world record last year, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you lost it recently.
No, I haven't.
Have you not? I thought the French Canadians beat you.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. But the French Canadians haven't studied the rules. They have sent out a press release to everyone that Guinness will accept their world record. But Guinness is not going to accept the world record because they have used plug-in hybrids, and they're not allowed. And as far as I know, out of those 430 electric cars that they had, they use 150 plug-in hybrids. So if you take them away, you come to 270 cars. So we had 305 electric cars, and Guinness told me very clearly that plug-in hybrids are not allowed. We also had more than 400 cars at the parade, but they did take away their plug-in hybrids. They did take away the Chevy Volt, the Opel Ampera, and all the Twikes, which are human hybrids, you know. So that's why we came to 305 vehicles.
Okay, so this year, what figure are you targeting for, and what can people do to take part?
I'm targeting my own record. 305 should be beaten, and everyone is most welcome to come.
And it's the 31st of May?
Yeah, it's the 31st of May, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. We are starting the wave there together with 300 to 400 electric cars at the Mercedes-Benz Museum. Imagine Daimler is the main sponsor of that event. And we are expecting some big politicians and a lot of people. And police is going to close down some of the roads so that we can do 3.6 kilometers in one parade with all those vehicles.
And hopefully you'll be able to do it far more professionally than the parade you took part in, Mark, once, which was stop-start, very slow all round.
The Nissan one.
Yes.
It was, yes.
Round a racetrack.
Round the racetrack for 2 hours or something ridiculous. And yeah, stop, start all the way. But I did get the best predicted range I've ever had the day after when I got full charge. 141 predicted miles.
There you go. So, Louis, anyone can turn up to that, can't they? To the world record attempt. You just have to bring an EV.
Not even necessarily. You can also borrow one, rent one from a Car2Go.
Car2Go are going to do them on the day.
Yeah, imagine there are 500 Car2Go Smarts in Stuttgart, and if you borrow one from them or if you rent one, you'll get the money back during the event. So it won't cost you anything. And we are really inviting everyone to go pick up a Car2Go in Stuttgart, come to the event, and bring it back to town, and it won't cost you anything.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. Right. So the website, once again, for people who don't know, wavetrophy.com. All the information's on there, isn't it, Louis?
Absolutely. Yeah. And working hard to keep it updated.
And I'm gonna let you go now. So thank you very much for joining us. And then Mark and I are going to essentially just concatenate everything else very, very quickly. Go through the news for the rest of the week, aren't we, Mark?
We are. We will do a Nikki and Mark news roundup.
Okay. So thank you very much, Louis. You are free to go. Thank you, and we will talk very, very soon. And
thanks to you guys.
And we'll see you in Stuttgart. Take care.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too.
It'll be great.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
So, Mark, would you like to run us through these news stories?
Oh, okay. So a good news story for us to start on is Tesla, because Tesla always comes in with big news. So we've known for the past 6 months or so that Tesla has got plans for its Giga factory, which is its battery lithium-ion battery facility that will make and recycle those battery packs. It has, in theory, the ability to output more batteries in a year than every other battery factory that's in existence today combined. Which
that is insane.
It actually blows my mind when you start thinking about it. And there are 4 possible locations or 4 possible states that they've said they want to place it in, and those states were selected due to various planning laws and legislations they have to go through. Interestingly, California isn't one of them. How sunny it is, because it's all going to be powered by renewables. It's also been said that they're using these locations as a way of holding it possibly over these states that don't allow them to sell directly to consumers. What we found out this week, however, is that Elon is going to go forward and develop 2 sites. So he's going to pick 2 potential sites and develop them both at the same time. So go through the planning permissions needed and all that regulatory process up to the groundbreaking. And it's only at that point that one of the sites will be decided upon.
What I think is really, really interesting about this is he's actually said he's going to go to the groundbreaking. So they're actually going to start the groundwork on this.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, oh, well, okay, that one is the one that we need to use. And I think it's a really clever ploy, because it not only keeps, people guessing to make sure that no one tries to throw spanners in the works, but it also means that Tesla has a future site. So tell us that Tesla is actually going to buy this land. It's going to buy 2 sites.
Which makes sense, because as we were talking last week, they've just bought this additional
they're leasing
factory
that one.
types. Yeah, well, leasing it. It's part of their real estate, essentially. So they are definitely on a move. But I suppose what makes it very clever is if one of the 2 potential sites gets caught up in some sort of legislative, I can't say that word, snafu. Legislative, shush, snafu, then they can just proceed with the other one. And the idea is that with 2 sites working in parallel, they will hit all their targets and get the batteries out in time, because they need these batteries to bring down the price to then be able to sell their cars at the affordable price they've said they're going to be selling them as. So it's very clever on Elon's behalf, I think.
It is very, very, very clever. And it
Shows
also
they have a lot
means-
of money.
And it also means Tesla's going... There's also the hint. Tesla said... Musk said, sorry. We might need more than one gigafactory. Which... Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's
That's massive, isn't it?
And this has repercussions not just in the electric car world as well. Once we start manufacturing batteries on this scale,
absolutely,
everything battery related is going to drop in price, or everything that can use the same type of batteries that are coming out of this factory will drop in price, which isn't just electric cars.
The thing that worries me, or the thing that concerns me, is where's Tesla going to get this money from? It did manage to produce some of the funds it needs itself. Through
it's putting in $2 billion, and then Panasonic was putting in.
It converted some money, but Panasonic's not involved anymore, from what I understand. So it's going to be interesting of who that other partner is. Panasonic's been like, no, we're not doing it.
Whoever it is stands to earn and get quite a lot from this, I think.
Yeah. All right, next story. BMW i3 finally this week gets its official EPA rating for the i3 EV. Not for the Rex. That hasn't come out yet, unless it's come out while we've gone on air. The i3 EV, though, has been rated by the EPA in the US. It's mandated. Every vehicle has to have a gas mileage rating. For the i3... its gas mileage ratings are as follows. Range, 81 miles per charge. That's not very special. And not much to get excited about. But the miles per gallon equivalent of this vehicle is higher than any other vehicle on sale today. It's the most effectively the most efficient vehicle of any fuel type that you can buy today in the US. 124 mpge. Now, for those who don't know, a mile per gallon equivalent is a figure that's been made up by the EPA, and it equates to the amount of energy, that the distance that an electric car can go on the equivalent amount of energy contained within 1 gallon of gasoline. It doesn't mean the energy that went into the gallon of gasoline to make that gallon of gasoline. It means if you burn
energy stored in it.
Yeah,
but again, is it that it gets complex because is it the energy that's stored in it because combustion engines don't use all of that energy, or is it an average on what average combustion cars can take from it?
It's in a lab. You burn the gasoline and see how much energy is released, and then you use that equivalent amount of energy in your vehicle, your electric vehicle. So it's effectively a calorific equivalent.
Which is interesting because that means that petrol cars will have a mpge rating as well, which is less than their miles per gallon.
Yes, absolutely. But 124 mpge, that's all down to the carbon fiber construction of the i3, and it's phenomenal. It's fantastic news. BMW should be congratulated for pushing that bar higher.
Yeah.
Because of the mpge. Now, those of you who are listening at home going, yes, but the NEDC's been out for ages, and that said it was really high. Yeah, but we all know the NEDC tests are frankly way off target, whereas the US tests are, although they're slightly optimistic, they're much more real world than anything else that we've seen yet. And that is fantastic. That is phenomenal, and that proves to us that this vehicle has the potential to be a game changer, not necessarily by the range, which is frankly a bit disappointing, but by the amount of energy it uses to go a distance. It's got a 22 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery on it. The Leaf's got a 24 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery. So it shows you how much more energy efficient the BMW i3 is. And it gets in the same way, kind of range.
In the same way that Tesla is challenging the rest of the automotive industry for range of an electric car, they're challenging the rest of the automotive industry for efficiency of an electric car.
And to begin with, people were very critical of BMW. Why were you spending all this? And I was one of them. Why are you spending all this money making a car that's very lightweight and then you don't give it a very good range? But actually, in hindsight, if you think about it right now, it doesn't make much sense because electricity is so cheap. But in the future, when electricity starts to become a commodity that is charged a fairly high value associated with it, then if you've got a car, if you're paying, I don't know, 10 or 20 pence or cents per kilowatt hour, it's not going to make a huge difference. But when you're paying £1 or £2 or $1 or $2 per kilowatt hour, which is conceivable at some point in the not too distant future, especially if we run out of fossil fuels quicker than we think, then actually that car is going to be far cheaper to run. So it's a bit of a long game. But well done. Also, staying with the BMW i3, the i3 Rex finally got its green HOV lane sticker. Woohoo!
Yeah. Just in time for there to be none left.
Just in time for them to be none left. But I have it on good authority. I haven't written the story yet. It's kind of a breaking story that the measure passed the Senate in California yesterday to extend the green HOV lane sticker program. Very similar to the way it was extended for hybrids back in the turn of the last century. Turn of the century. So we should expect green stickers to start flowing soon, as long as it gets through both houses. It's got through one, it needs to get through the other, and then it will be signed into law. And it's being rushed through as well, because there are currently no green HOV lane stickers. So if you buy an i3 Rex, or you buy a Chevy Volt, or you buy a Prius hybrid plug-in, or any of the other plug-in hybrids on the market, for now, you won't be able to get your green HOV lane sticker until this law passes.
And it's worth remembering that at the moment you have to apply for it.
You do have to apply.
The dealers can't pre-apply.
They were banned from doing that because there were so few left. And the other good news about the BMW i3 and the i3 Rex is that the i3 Rex has, now this is the interesting bit, has been approved by the California Center for Sustainable Energy for the rebate program, the Clean Vehicle Rebate Program that runs in California alongside the federal grant that you can get for plug-in vehicles. This is an additional grant, or this is not a tax rebate, this is actually a grant that you can spend on reducing the cost of the vehicle that you buy. And traditionally, plug-in hybrids and range-extended electric vehicles have only been eligible for the $1,250 rebate, but the i3 Rex is the first vehicle with a range-extended engine that is eligible for the full $2,500 rebate. So that's good news, isn't it?
Good for them.
Good for them. I'll be interested to know. And there are i3s now in the country, in the US, sitting at dealers, being prepared for delivery. And we know one of the people whose car's sitting on the dock or in the dealer. And
just waiting.
We're waiting because we might be able to bring you an exclusive when that comes through. But now it's time for an ad break. If you watch this show regularly, you'll know that we have a little ad break here. If you're watching the show live, you won't see it. If you're watching on YouTube, hopefully, if Mark and I remember to insert them, which we sometimes forget, you'll see an ad right here. Watch it.
It's not the easiest process.
Watch it, and we will be right back. We're back, part 2. It's just me and Mark at the moment. If you missed the first segment with the wonderful Louis Palmer from the Wave Trophy, go back and watch it, but not until you've watched the end, obviously, because going backwards and forwards doesn't work. All right, Rimac is a company that has been in the electric vehicle world for some time. Not really paid much attention to by the mainstream media, but produced the wonderful Rimac Concept 1, a super sexy sports car, which could give and does give the Tesla Roadster a run for its money. Now, this week, Mark, there's talk of production and massive investment, €8 million investment in Rimac. And is this the next Tesla?
I don't know if it's the next Tesla, but I think it's definitely. I think that electric cars are giving new manufacturers, if they're clever, a chance to come in as a new auto manufacturers to come in. We've seen some people come and go, like Mia being one of them, but they weren't making a car that actually had appeal. It may have been theoretically useful, but it didn't have mass appeal. Whereas Tesla obviously sold a car that had mass appeal. Rimac's Concept 1 does have mass appeal. And in fact, Rimac's Concept 1, which is essentially what's going into production, and I think they've even sold a few already that they've put together, and this investment's going to help them sort of push through the others through production and their new scheme, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I mean, it's $1 million, so it's a whole class above the Tesla Roadster. I suppose it's an evolution of the Tesla Roadster. The Tesla Roadster's 8 years old now. It's a relatively
it's
old car.
2006. So, we didn't see the first deliveries really until 2007, 2008. So,
the Concept 1's got a 0 to 60, which is faster. I think 2.4 seconds, which is unbelievable.
That's butt-clenching fast that is.
Its battery pack is 91 kilowatt hours, which will make it the largest battery pack on any production electric vehicle that I know of as well.
Yeah, I think it depends where you're defining production. There are some limited range vehicles limited production vehicles I think the Liberty Electric was over 100 kilowatts, and obviously the Rolls-Royce Phantom Electric.
Yes, the Phantom, yes.
Which Rolls-Royce keeps going, we're going to make it. No, maybe we will. No. So yes.
But the fact that any other company other than Tesla's managed to draw in what is actually quite a substantial amount of investment.
Yeah, I'd like 8 million euros. Thank you.
Yeah, it is very, very good. And their new project, which is called the Grep bike, which is a push bike that straddles the line of legality. So we have these weird laws in UK where you can't have a electrically assisted pedal bike that goes over a certain speed. Is that 15 miles
it's
per
15
hour?
miles per hour, and it has to be what we call a pedeleec. So the pedals have to own the motor can only operate when you are pedaling it.
Yes. So this bike is very clever that it has that mode, but it also has its off-road mode where it can go something ridiculously fast, like 60 kilometers per hour, which is mental, and you don't have to pedal it at all. So it has the best of both worlds, and it's fully gadged up. I mean, it doesn't have a key. It doesn't have a key fob. It's got a thumbprint scanner, and you can register different people's thumbprints, up to 100 people's thumbprints, and you can set restrictions, which is brilliant.
Oh,
so you
brilliant.
Have your kid's thumbprint on it, but it will only start in the pedal assist mode. It will not let them go into that faster mode at all.
It's very fun. It is awesome. I should note, pedelecs in the UK and Europe, you can only ride them once you're 14.
Okay.
Because my son wants one, and I keep saying, no, you're not old enough yet.
Not yet.
All right, so good news from Rimac, and I'll be watching that. It's a Croatian company, isn't it?
Croatian company. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with it.
Staying in Europe, the UK government has been rather lukewarm towards electric vehicles over there, over its history. But this week, Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg stood up and went, we're going to spend 500 million on the electric vehicle world, split, multiple different ways. We'll come on to the details in a minute, but I feel sorry at the moment for the Telegraph. As anyone who's been a journalist for any length of time will know, sometimes you get a story that is on embargo. And when you're given a story on embargo, you can't talk about it, but you can write about it, and you queue it up in your computer, your web server, or whatever. And you only hit the publish button, when your embargo is broken.
Which is why you see a lot of reviews of very anticipated cars going live just past midnight.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I've learned a trick from working with some real pros in the business, which is if you're writing something that's on embargo, you set its publish date to be well in the future. So you set it like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of when it actually behind when it actually wants to go live. So that way you ensure categorically that it does not get published early. There's some poor schmo at the Telegraph wrote embargo, that was obviously their keyword, embargoed piece, and it showed up in Google News about 6 hours ahead of the embargo being lifted.
Oh, bless them.
But anyway, 500 million, a lot of that money is going to go towards infrastructure. Couple of salient points here. One of them is the government said, look, we kind of realised we screwed up in the past with our plugged-in places and funding these low-powered fast charging stations for city centres, especially ones where there is a 2-hour limit, because you can only get 5 or 10 miles of range if you're there in an hour. What this funding is going to be sort of edged towards are things like rapid charging stations on motorways and A roads in the UK. And for those who don't know, our motorway system in the UK all focuses on London. So we've got like this spider pattern, haven't we, Mark?
Coming out mainly,
pattern,
yeah.
Coming out of the centre of London, and all the motorways kind of go jump like that. And there are a few kind of that cross over the top. But as we were talking about this week on the Thought of the Day, if you want to go from Bristol in the southwest to East Anglia, which is kind of diagonally across the country, there's no motorway to do that. And so if you're driving an EV...
We have the A road system, which isn't really direct, isn't really well funded, sometimes in single track, sometimes isn't. It's a pain.
Yes, and so this funding could be to fund the upgrading of rapid charging along those routes. When we say single track, Mark, we mean single on each lane, single in each direction. So one lane in each direction, not single track.
Not single track. That's the wrong image of our country. Yeah.
But a lot of them are now dual carriageways. So that's much easier. The other thing that the money is going to be going towards, with relation to that, is a pot which will help cities and towns become effectively beacons of EV goodiness. Money available to local councils and authorities and local governments to establish EV incentives in a particular area. And I hope Bristol, where I live, is one of those that jumps on. It's to fund things like allowing electric cars use of bus lanes and free use in HOV lanes, and give them free parking and free charging, very much like the Norwegian system. Now, we should point out at this point that Elon Musk, Tesla CEO, is currently the advisor on electric vehicles in the UK, and I see his thumbprints all over this, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because Nick Clegg's our Deputy Prime Minister. He's the one who announced this, not the Prime Minister, which is interesting anyway as a announcement of a rather large scheme. But he ruined it the day after by saying, "Oh, electric cars wouldn't suit me and my family." So I originally had thought, like you, that Elon, as our EV advisor, might have gone, "Look, you need to give them more of a chance. You need to invest more money in this because what you've got at the moment is a bit of a mess." But then the fact that Nick Clegg said that the next day suggests that Elon's not involved, because Elon surely is pushing the Model S for our government. So it's really interesting that someone who is meant to be spearheading this campaign can one day go, "We are putting $500 million and £500 million into it," and then say, "Oh, but they won't work for me," which is fundamentally ridiculous because that's coming from someone who has his own driver.
Yes, and I think that's really important. Maybe we should call the Deputy Prime Minister on this, and I hadn't heard that particular soundbite, Mark, so thank you for bringing that up. Well, you know what? Maybe we should write to his office and go, "Look, we'll prove you wrong." More funding is also going to go to the £5,000 government grant that you can get every time you buy a plug-in car. We've talked about that before on the show. Essentially, the money doesn't come to the buyer, it goes directly to the automaker. And unfortunately, it's meant that prices have stayed artificially high of electric vehicles in the UK. We pay far more for electric vehicles here than say, our American and European counterparts do. So that could or couldn't work. Lots of R&D is going to be funded from this into rapid charging, and I suspect the inductive roadway charging that we talked about a couple of weeks ago will also be part of that as well. eBay. eBay is a very interesting place if you want to buy things. I've bought lots of things from eBay over the years. Have you, Mark?
No, I bought one thing from it, and someone bought it for me.
There you go.
Because I've never really got into the eBay thing. I've never really kind of understood it.
I've sold things on eBay. I bought a few things on eBay. The weirdest one, I think, and I'm going down a total rat run now, is I sold when my wife moved to the UK. I kind of wasn't playing music much, and I sold my cor anglais, my English horn, to those American listeners, which is not, in fact, English. It's French, but let's not go there. It's the bastardization of the word anglais and angle, and how they sound similar in French. I did go there, sorry. Anyway, I sold my English horn cor anglais on eBay, and about 3 years later, I thought, I'd really like a cor anglais. I really would quite like a cor anglais again, and I was looking for one on eBay, and I saw my old cor anglais on eBay. So I nearly bid to buy my old cor anglais back. It was total serendipity, but I didn't buy it in the end. Anyway, out of the rat run, back to, well, the rat hole, back onto the main topic here, which is eBay in the US is giving away a Tesla Model S.
Very nice.
Very nice. All you have to do, it's very simple. You go onto the eBay Motors website. You tell eBay Motors, you tell them what car you own. the year, make, and the model, if you've done anything special to it, and they enter you for a free prize draw to win the Tesla Model S. Isn't that nice, Mark? Would you like to explain to the lovely people at home what's actually going on?
Well, so I suppose there are two ways to see it. It's very interesting in the modern world that we've now become very acutely aware in the past year how much information we are actually giving away, and information is what these companies. That's their product that they sell on to advertisers. It's information. The service they give to you for free. They're not doing it for free. They're doing it in exchange for your information. And this is a way for eBay to get more information about you. So you tell eBay that you've got a Nissan Leaf, for example, and Nissan can then specifically target ads for Leaf parts, Leaf floor mats, Leaf cleaning kits, Leaf wipers to you, knowing that those adverts are actually useful to you and you're more likely to click on them, which means eBay gets paid more money.
It's also about the auctions themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be big names. So, for example, the way that eBay works is eBay, like any auctioneer, makes money from commission of the sale of items. The more that item sells for, the more commission they make. So in eBay world, if somebody's selling a right-hand wing mirror from a 1965 Ford Mustang in purple, and, you know, it can send a message to every Ford Mustang owner it has in its database going, hey, look, there's a wing mirror for sale for your Ford Mustang. And the more people that bid for it, the higher the price. The higher the price it goes for, the more commission eBay makes.
And the thing is, some people may like that. That is totally something that you may be happy with and may want. There's nothing innately wrong with it. It's just maybe you should be aware what you're giving them. But for the chance to win a Model S, maybe that's worth it for you. Maybe it isn't. I mean, you don't have to tell them exactly what car you've got. I'm guessing no one from eBay turns up and goes, "That's not actually a Nissan Leaf. That's a Volkswagen Golf from 1972.
Now, did you say that people were being prohibited from entering if they had a Tesla? Were you joking about that?
No, I don't. I didn't say that, did I?
Oh, I'm sure someone said it. Anyway, there you go. So
it was a comment on our site, I think, and I do wonder whether they would, because imagine that the eBay's big, because part of signing up for this will be signing up for the big publicity eBay has around it. And they roll up with your Model S and you're stood outside next to your existing Model S. That probably wouldn't be the image they want.
Well, I don't know. So essentially, if you're happy to give your data away, you could get a free Model S. You and about a couple of million people.
Yeah, if not more.
Let's not calculate the odds on that one, eh? All right. That was rude of me. I'm sorry. In the same week that the BMW i3 got its official EPA rating, the Mercedes-Benz B-Class electric drive has been priced for the US market. Very competitively priced, as it happens. It's just a smidgen, and it really is just a smidgen more expensive than the base model i3. But for that, you get a 5-seat vehicle, which is more conventional looking, has a slightly better predicted range, and is essentially Tesla engineered.
Although the range hasn't been confirmed by any...
The range has not been confirmed. Thank you for confirming that, Mark. The range has not been confirmed. You know what I mean. $41,450 before incentives. Okay. This is a really nice looking car inside as well. Very Mercedes-Benz. Very luxury. You've got your nice wood trim, if you like that kind of thing. I don't. 0 to 80% charge supposedly takes just 2 hours.
Yeah, that's
so that means Tesla onboard charger, I would suspect, a 10 kilowatt.
10 kilowatt, yeah.
And empty to full in 3.5. There's no supercharging, there's no direct current charging, but when you can charge that quickly...
In Europe, if it's accepting of the 3-phase, then yes, that's fine. In the UK, that's a bit of a pain because you're going to be limited to... Because the Tesla's one's 11 kilowatt, which is 16 amp 3-phase. So in the UK, if it is that 11 kilowatt charger, you're down to actually 3.
Yeah, unless you stop at a Type 2 charging station. But let's not speculate about that because we don't know that for sure.
No, we don't know, but it's going to be very interesting. And if it is that case, it's Tesla's first encroachment of the Tesla technology and the Tesla
Yeah,
technology of charging, which I think is brilliant.
The other thing to be aware of, well, I mean, the RAV4 EV has Tesla charger as well. It has the 10 kilowatt US version.
I mean, in the UK and Europe because
Right.
of the Type 2 adjustments.
Interestingly, though, the Smart for 2 ED is available in Europe with 3-phase Brusa onboard 22 kilowatt rapid charging capability or AC quick charging capability, and that will recharge the battery pack in an hour. So I'm wondering if Brusa is going to do a similar offering for the Benz B-Class. We don't know, but this is the horrible bit of this story. It's also been priced in the UK, but it's priced at £35,000. This goes back to what I was saying earlier: inflated prices. If you convert that to US dollars, it's more than $50,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I think partly is because of this incentive that we have, which does just encourage the companies to jump the price up by £5,000 because it goes directly to them, which is silly. But I can't figure out any other reason for it. Because
the other thing to bear in mind is obviously that we put prices in the UK. We advertise car prices including value-added tax, which currently is 20%. But I'm pretty sure if you worked out what, obviously, so that's essentially the 120% price. So if you work it back ex VAT, you're still a long way off. I mean, it's still 10,000 difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a lot. We hopefully it was suggested by a website. Or was it Tech?
It was Autocar.
Autocar, sorry. That possibly our base spec might be slightly different in the sense that it has more in it already, but that's unconfirmed. So at the moment, we are kind of just left in a situation of going, are we being screwed around by Mercedes here? Which is not a good position for Mercedes to leave people in.
It's interesting because I've spoken to Mercedes-Benz before about this car, and they've kind of denied it was even coming. So I don't know.
Oh.
All right. Ad break and on to our final section. I hope you're all enjoying this long show. It is long because we had this fantastic interview with Louis Palmer, and but we've only got another 10 minutes or so. So please do stick around. After this break, we'll be right back. We're back. You didn't even see us move. That's how quick our break was. Tinfoil hats. Now, we did try and get the gentleman in question on the show today, and he said he'd love to come on, but he's a bit tied up today, and it was a last-minute thing. But he's going to come on in the future.
Oh,
Mark,
amazing.
Do you know any Tesla Model S owners with anal itching?
Not off the top of my head. I don't know any Roadster drivers with anal itching either. But apparently, it's a well-known side effect of driving a Tesla, anal itching. Also, did you know that their battery packs blow up if they are bumped or get wet?
This is courtesy of Ryan Block. Okay, he's for those who don't know, he works at Engadget. He's a tech blogger, very very well known, very successful tech blogger. Worked at Engadget. He left Engadget a couple of years ago and went off to found GDGT, which was subsequently acquired by Engadget. So he's back at Engadget. He posted on Twitter the other night. He has a Tesla Model S. He lives in the Bay Area with his wife, Veronica Belmont, and he got this posted on the windscreen of his Model S. Should we read sections of it, Mark?
Oh, go on. Yeah, I will bring it up on my computer too.
All right. Lithium-ion batteries blow up if they get wet or bumped. They have already burned planes, cars, homes, and children. There have been tens of thousands of lithium-ion battery fires and explosions. Teslas have over 7,000 non-automotive designed batteries in each car, and that means over 7,000 chances of having a catastrophic fire. It gets better. By driving a Tesla, you are involved in organised crime. Tesla bribed Congress people and federal staff. I like this. Congress people. Not congressmen or congresswomen. Congress, space, people. And federal staff to get the car funded using your tax money. That money could have gone to pay for schools, firemen, and urban blight. I would like to pay for some urban blight, please.
It attacks the drivers as well, which is what I really like. Relative to the number of cars sold, why has Tesla had so many Tesla drunk driver related crashes, deaths, and homicides?
There's never been any.
Why are Tesla drivers killing innocent pedestrians simply because the Teslas smell bad? I really, because we had the man last week who got naked and danced around, and this is another product of someone who is probably slightly broken in a way. In
a nice,
yeah.
That was a very British way of saying it. Okay, the next one. What was it? Psychographic, demographic, and marketing studies have been published showing that Tesla drivers have a higher than average inclination towards drugs, strange sexual behavior, and risk. This is all false, by the way.
Tesla buys magazine articles, reviews in quotes, and TV stories for which it pays PR writers to only write good things about Tesla.
Shock horror. Oh my goodness gracious me. We've not been paid yet, Mark. Can you get on the phone to Elon?
I'm going to contact our Tesla dealer and find out where our check is.
I do wonder if this guy works in the bank, because I do actually in my wallet have a Tesla check.
Okay.
But there's a sensible reason behind the Tesla check. When I travelled over in 2011 to visit the Tesla factory for the Tesla launch, I had to buy my own plane ticket. Now, traditionally, when an automaker sends an automotive journalist to another country, they write at the bottom, you write at the bottom of your article, so and so, the name of the automaker, paid for, flights, accommodation. And whatever. On this particular occasion, Tesla said to us, can you buy them yourself and then send us an invoice for the cost of your flight? Which is what we did. And I have a check that was incorrectly made out, that is now void, that says Tesla on it. And I just have this kind of kick that I keep it around. I can't cash it anymore, obviously, because it was cancelled a long time ago. But we did eventually get the right check made out to the company, and we cashed that. But it was just for the flights. So at the bottom of our article, we said at the bottom of the flights, we said at the bottom of the article, we went, Tesla provided airfare, meals, and lodging, because that's what it did. But so maybe this guy works in a bank and he sees all these Tesla checks.
Possibly. I feel sorry. It's really interesting. But as far as we know, Ryan is the only person who has seen this so far.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's quite interesting that it's only one person, and it happened to be a fairly high-profile person. Although saying that, I mean, if you were kind of guaranteed putting one on a Model S, it would probably hit the internet fairly big. So
I just think it's brilliant. Do you have your tinfoil hat?
I did.
That's right up there with the British family are aliens. You've heard that one, haven't you?
Yeah, the lizards. Yes,
lizard people.
Lizard people.
Which Stephen Moffat and a couple of other Doctor Who writers have totally played on very subtly in the past on Doctor Who.
Yes,
because they did the whole what's the name of the lizard people who live in the ground who've been around?
Solarians?
I think
like
so.
That?
Yes. Who are guardians who've been in the who were the original inhabitants of Earth? So we're going down really
Homo reptilian.
Homo reptilian. Thank you very much. Anyway, should we leave the tinfoil brigade behind?
We leave the tinfoils,
we should just say that the last sort of 10 minutes of us discussing this and reading out some of these claims, we do not believe these claims. All right. End of April this week. We are now in May, which means that the US sales figures have come out for electric cars. The Leaf, again. It didn't sell as many cars in April as it did in March, but the Nissan Leaf totally wiping the floor with the Chevy Volt. Now, year on year, the Nissan Leaf is a third up than it was this time last year. The Chevy Volt seems to kind of just be staying fairly static. I'm going to give you some sales figures. Volt sales in March were 1,478, identical to the March of 2013. But the Leaf are increasing sales. And I just have this question is, does this mean that the Volt is being perceived as old-fashioned? Are people not, entertaining it as much? Is it now that the US Leafs are now made in Tennessee, in an American factory? Is it that the Leaf's price is now much more affordable? Is it that Nissan, obviously, with its free charging and its promotional campaigns, are really pushing people to buy them? Or is it something like the California HOV lane green sticker thing, and people are going, oh, I'm not going to buy a Volt, put the extra money down if I can't use the green lanes? What do you think, Mark?
My current theory, and I haven't looked into it too much, is that GM have been dangling the next version of the Volt in front of everyone's nose for well over a year now. And releasing little rumors, and we're going to improve the range and make the engine smaller and do this and do that. And I've always had this sense, and I think a lot of people have always had this sense of the next Volt is only ever 6 months away. Whereas the next Leaf, while they talk about potentials, it's always maybe we're going to be doubling the battery pack, or we don't know. The last time the Leaf was refreshed, it was only incremental changes. So
do you think people are holding off?
Yeah, that's what I instinctively I'm going for. I think that GM is somehow planted the idea in people's heads that the next Volt is always 3, 4, 5 months away and is going to be a major revision. Whereas Nissan's been very good at kind of going, well, we're only doing incremental increases, which would explain why GM keeps coming out with the phrase evolution, not revolution, because I think they're trying to combat this themselves. That's my current understanding, but I'm not huge. I don't hugely sort of follow a lot of US forums, so I don't know if that's actually true. That's my kind of what I've perceived on the outside.
You see, I just think I think people are now getting less range anxiety. I genuinely think people have less range anxiety than they once did. That's my hope. Anyway. All right. Penultimate story, and this is one that you got kind of wound up about. All right. So a couple of months ago, we ran the story about 60 Minutes, who accidentally made a segment about the Tesla Model S and put Foley on of a V8 engine or a regular petrol car making noise over the sound, which was supposed to be the Tesla Model S. Now, Foley is the art of adding sounds post-production to a video to make it sound more realistic. And Foley, is everywhere. It's in everything from dramas to documentaries to feature films. And obviously in sci-fi, in films like Star Trek and Star Wars, you see obviously those sounds are generated to make the fantasy more realistic, more believable. In nature documentaries, the sound of the tiger lapping up the water at the side of the watering hole might actually be a guy drinking water in a similar way in a sound booth in a studio, because it's much easier to put sound effects on afterwards. Now, this week was International Noise Awareness Day. There was a day this week, wasn't there, Mark?
There was, and Nissan went, oh, we've got a car that's quite quiet, and let's go. Where's the quietest place? And they found that the quietest place in Europe is a sleepy village in Switzerland. And they went, let's have a high-speed race through the village and not wake anyone up. That'll show how quiet our cars are. And it kind of, it's back to this idea of it's a good idea if you don't think about it for more than 5 minutes. Because as soon as you think about it for more than 5 minutes, it's kind of like you're saying, well, all the residents of this village are missing out on the excitement of a race, for one, which seems a bit pointless. 2, the silence is actually one of the things EVs get criticized for. 3, there's just been an EU directive out that says all EVs have to make noise because the European Union on a whole is worried we're going to kill people. And suddenly you get very quickly, after 6-7 minutes thought rather than 5 minutes thought, to this is a bad idea and we probably shouldn't do it. At least in my opinion.
The funny thing was, though, they added, I'm trying to find the video because I didn't have the link, but they added sound effects. Do you think they added? I mean, I listened to it and thought, my Leaf doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, the accelerating away when they go around corners, sort of the really sharp corners, and they kind of pulled out of them. It wasn't the standard whine. There was a slight more sci-fi-ness sound to it. But then I've never put my head that close to the tire as it's going around the corner.
Well, and then also the way that they obviously they made the sound effects sound. It did sound more sci-fi, as you say, and it sounded louder than I think my car would sound. And
which defeats the point of what they were trying to say.
Although, if you think about it, above kind of 20, 30 miles an hour, the noise from the tyres is more than anything else.
Yeah.
So we look at that and we go, okay, you couldn't hear the tyre noise in that, could you? Could you hear the tyre noise?
No.
So they took away the tyre noise and they added this sound effect, and it was a bit weird. And I think -10 for Nissan on that one. It was a bit stupid.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange idea and a strange video. It was quite exciting. It was filmed and shot in a very exciting way. Directorially, it was, and sort of photography wise, it was very good. But it shouldn't have been an idea that got off of the drawing board. I don't think there would have been better ways to show how it was quiet in a way that wouldn't scare people. And we've talked about it before. People have mentioned that they like driving electric cars in the countryside because as you're driving along proper single track roads, not what I said earlier, next to fields, you can hear the birds and you can hear the animals, and that's a really nice connection to nature. And that would have been a better thing to show off, because you're not then bringing noise into a situation that is innately has to be quiet for those things to happen. That would have been a better way to do it than racing at breakneck speeds through a little village.
Or perhaps just sponsoring Formula E. I'm just putting it out there. The Formula E sponsored by the Nissan Leaf. That would work really well. Anyway, on to our finally story of the day. We've talked about Tesla fan-made movies before. They are the best. Tesla has the best fan-made ads of any company in the world. I think I'm just going to go out and say that. And they are convincing. They are fantastically made. They're clever. They're quirky. I'm going to finish by showing you one which I've never seen anything like this before. It's puppeteering, isn't it, Mark? Let's talk it through.
So it's I'm guessing set in a slightly futuristic world where
in New York,
most people are driving electric cars now, and a Model S pulls up into a gas station, gets out the little gas pump, gets all excited, but the driver just goes in and buys a drink from a vending machine or something like that at the beginning. And then you get a very sad pump. He's got some goggly eyes and he looks really sad.
And he gets fired by his boss.
You see him getting fired because he's not doing his job. Then he turns to drink, which is it was terrible. You got the petrol pump sucking up the whiskey from the shot glasses. And then he ends up sort of homeless and ends up in a kind of thrift store. Well, what would be called a thrift store in America, and we'd just call a charity shop, I guess.
It's actually a pawn shop.
It's a pawn shop.
Yeah.
Okay. And he gets picked up there, and he's all depressed and sad, but he gets taken home and he gets cleaned, and they turn him into a sort of a hose for the end of a garden hose, so he can then wash
brilliant,
cars.
Isn't it?
It was really well done.
And I just like this bit when he's getting the and it's the guy that, at the end, he's being used by the guy who came in and lost him his job in the first place. And it says, make gas history, make history, make gas history. And it's just brilliant. I love these kind of ads. We've got to find out who did it and get them on the show, because that was brilliant. It just blew my mind. Cute, fantastic. I reckon if that was one of my favourite stories of the week, Nozzy and the Tin Hats. Those are my two favourites. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the extra long show today. It's nearly an hour and a half. But we went through as quickly as we could after Louis, didn't we, Mark?
We did, and it's really, really interesting.
It was fantastic. And if you're coming to Wave, please come along and say hello. We've got some special T-shirts made for myself and Adam. We're going to be wearing Transport Evolved logo stuff, so you're going to see us. We've got a fantastic cars being wrapped at the moment. Thanks to Nissan for that. And so we'll be there. We're going to be driving throughout Europe to get there. I will be tweeting and doing all the social media stuff on the way. Obviously, it's 3-4 weeks away. I've made a route. If you go to transportevolved.com, you can see one of the articles that we've talked about the route planning and how scary that is. And we've got all these different charging providers who've helped us to get there so far. I said, yeah, you can charge up with us. You can help us. We can help you. And it's really going to be really exciting. I just hope all of those quick charge stations work.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test for the Brit going to sort of through the European networks and going through multiple countries.
Yeah, absolutely,
rapid charge
absolutely. I
networks.
haven't booked my train yet, so we need to book the train. Someone said, "Why are you not going on the ferry?" And we've made a decision. We're going on the train because the train's electric. If we go on the ferry, we'll be, burning fossil fuels. If we go on the train, it's powered by nuclear power. So,
and the train will get you further into one of the countries as well.
Will it?
It get you further into Paris. Doesn't it take you to Paris?
No,
or do you
no,
not get
no,
as far
no.
as that?
You have to, it's just under the river.
Oh, I thought you could
Under
get all
the
the way to
channel.
Paris now.
Well, you can on a train, but not on a
Not
passenger
on the
train,
car
not
train.
on the car train. But I would love to meet up with Transport Evolved listeners along the way. If you're in the UK and you want to join us for part of the trip down, and you want to have a little mini unofficial follow us down there, that would be fantastic. The only thing I would ask is you let us charge first, because we've got a tight schedule. And while we're on the subject, Mark, you need some help, don't you, while I'm away?
Yes, so I'm going to be manning Transport Evolved, writing the news stories, keeping everyone up to date, which is wonderful, and no Nikki to tell me what to write. All the stories will be mine. But it is quite a lot of work. And so if there is anyone out there who is a budding writer or is already a writer and would like to help out with some news stories in that week, do get in contact with us. You can contact us on our site or just email me, mark@transportevolved.com, and we shall chat. And then we can have a week with community writers and me writing, and we can assign stories. It'd be wonderful. And
we cannot pay. That's the first thing I would say. We cannot pay, but hopefully people will support us. And if you're not sure if you're a decent writer and you've got an idea for an article, get in touch. Pitch it to us. Maybe we can interview you and write it up with your help. Or maybe you can write it, send it to us, and we'll set you up, and we'll have. I mean, obviously we should say we will edit submissions. Unless you happen to be this amazing writer who's just churning out pure gold. We won't edit them heavily.
No, we edit each other's work.
We edit each other's work all the time. And one of the ways to annoy Mark is to write percent as one word.
Not one word.
And to put math instead of maths.
It just makes my skin crawl. I know they are perfectly valid words in another country, but not in the one I'm in.
That really is it, folks. We'll be back next week at the usual time. And until then, don't forget to plug in. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.